Richardson Hitchins defeats Liam Paro to become the super lightweight junior welterweight 140 pounds IBF champion. This is the real belt. It's not a play belt. Liam Paro won it from Subriel Matias, and now Richardson Hitchins has won it from Liam Paro. Now, I was expecting Liam Paro to win this fight, if I'm honest with you. I know and I thought that Richardson Hitchins had the correct style to beat what Liam Paro brings. But I was thinking, at what level does Richardson Hitchins apply his style at? Is he top level, mid to top level? Obviously, coming from Mayweather Promotions, where he was hardly fighting at all, coming onto Matchroom, where he started to get fights and climb his way up the IBF rankings to get this fight, he obviously had to be operating from either the mid-range or the upper level of that base style. But I thought that Liam Paro would have done some homework and seen the styles that gave Richardson Hitchins problems, such as the fight that he had with Daniel Lemos, which most people thought that he lost. That was the fight prior to this fight, which was just back in April. Daniel Lemos gave him all sorts of problems where most people felt that he done enough to beat Richardson Hitchins. So I'm thinking Liam Paro must have seen that or done some research into that, either him or his team or both. They must have watched it, seen that Lemos is a pressure fighter, so we must bring more of a pressure style. And from round one, I could see that that wasn't the assignment, and I was thinking, he's going to lose his title as soon as he won it. Because he's come out and he's just fainting, and he's not going in there with the amount of pressure that's needed. Now, granted, he fought with a bit more activity than he usually fights, but he's very limited, Liam Paro, in his technique and his shot selection and just movement in general and being able to cut off the ring, these type of things. With Subriel Matias, he had no need to be cutting off the ring because Subriel was straight in front of him from the get-go, trying to take him out. He's a pressure fighter, pushing forward to try and take him out. But where he's more of a boxer-puncher, he was able to weather the storm and use his base style to overcome what Subriel Matias brings. But what he needed to do was adopt Subriel Matias' style and bring that to Richardson Hitchins. But he was incapable of doing it. And most boxers are. Most boxers can only operate from the base style that they are used to. Not many can actually switch up and turn from a pressure fighter to a pure boxer or from a pure... I would expect fighters to be able to turn from more of a boxer puncher to a pressure fighter, because it just means throw more punches and throw caution to the wind. But it's a mindset thing, and if you don't have the mindset to throw caution to the wind, you won't throw caution to the wind and you'll be wary. Richardson Hitchins looked bigger than Liam Paro in there, and he was rangier, and he used the height and range once he figured out the puzzle after 3-4 rounds. And from then on in, 5 to say 11, 12, he won all of those rounds in there. So I don't care what the judges are saying, the right man won. One of the judges gave it to Liam Paro, as in like Liam Paro won 9 rounds and Richardson won 3 rounds, which was ridiculous to me. But I could care less because the right man won. 2 judges gave it to Richardson Hitchins, 8-4. Made sense to me because I did give Liam the first 3, possibly 4 rounds. But maybe one of them, Richardson nicked it as he was figuring out the style and figuring out the puzzle. Once he figured out the puzzle, he used that reach, kept him at bay with the jab and every now and then the cross, and he was very much a moving target. Richardson Hitchins fights from this pugilist specialist, pure boxer, hit and don't get hit type of range. And it was Southpaw versus Orthodox, which is always a bit of a messy fight, and it can get a bit odd to watch. But Richardson Hitchins done the correct thing, and he won the fight over the 12-round distance. Now, he wins. Congratulations to Richardson Hitchins. And I'm hearing Eddie Hearn say he wants Richardson Hitchins to now fight Teofimo Lopez, which is a bit of a mad one because Teofimo Lopez is talking about he wants to go and fight Boots Ennis, upper weight class, but he is right now the WBO light welterweight champion. I believe he's WBO champion, but he's got a belt, and now he wants to get a unification fight happening between Teofimo and Richardson Hitchins. But we haven't come to that yet because Teofimo is talking about moving up. We'll talk about that in another video. But when I look at Richardson Hitchins, because what I've been doing lately since I've been doing these videos is I have to look for information, look for things, what's going on. And I realize that a lot of things happen on Twitter. I don't really usually listen to or read a lot of Twitter. But once a man wins, I'd like to see what he's saying after the fight. And as I'm looking at his Twitter page, Richardson Hitchins, he's obviously celebrating his win. And after 2 reposts of people congratulating him, one being Terence Bud Crawford, he out of nowhere tags George Kambosos Jr. and says, "I'm waiting for you in NYC, you bum." Now, I was like, what are you talking about? I can read so much into this one tweet. There's so much different things that are such red flags for me in this one tweet. In the very first place, one, why are you waiting for him in the NYC? He's in Australia, and if you want to fight him, the money is in Australia. Nobody cares about you in NYC. Everybody cares about George Kambosos in Australia. That's why Devin went over there twice. 1, to get the belts. 2, to defend the belts. That's one thing. Why are you waiting for him in NYC? Nobody knows you in NYC. Even though Eddie Hearn's talking about a homecoming for you now, why do you want to fight George Kambosos? This is not making any sense to me. Because the second thing is, George Kambosos, from what I know and from what I recall, has lost 3 of his last 4 fights. What are you doing calling out a man that's a loser? The fight he just had in the beginning of the year, maybe May or something like that, against Vasyl Lomachenko, he lost that fight. Got beaten down. So why are you calling people out that have just come off of a loss? Not only has he come off of 1 loss, he's come off of 3 losses in the last 4. And Lomachenko don't usually knock out, man. But he beat Kambosos. He usually just wins on points, but he's got so much punch output that he wins on points by a clear country mile. But with George Kambosos, he beat him down to submission, where Kambosos went down twice in the 11th round and then was stopped. The ref said no more. Stop getting up, because George Kambosos is a warrior. He is a guy that likes to get up and wants to finish the fight on his feet. He's the type of guy that will say, I need to go out on my shield and actually mean it. And I respect George Kambosos. But even that, after we take into the fact that he lost 3 of his last 4, and the one that he just lost in May of this 2024 year was a TKO loss as well, he's also a whole weight class below you. So I just don't understand. I really don't understand what's going on. Why are you talking to George Kambosos? Why are you talking to George? This makes no sense. So anyway, he says, George Kambosos, I'm waiting for you in NYC, you bum. I'm confused, right? George Kambosos replies, you do know it's 8 a.m. in Australia, you peanut brain. Ha 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 ha. I just woke up in my big ass mansion. Now let's go. Rent free on your biggest day. Ha 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 ha. Miserable C word. Richardson Hitchins then comes back and said, first of all, tell me congratulations first. And brush your stink ass tongue. I smell it from across the pond. And do you want to fight or nah? I'm trying to see something right quick. George Kambosos come back and says, ha 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 ha. How does that even make sense? You can smell. You're such a dork. Nah, that's the Louis Vuitton perfume. I'll buy you one after I take your belt. And the answer is yes, yes, yes. Like taking more candy from another big mouth New Yorker, baby. You should be trying to enjoy the moment. Rent free, baby. It's on. Don't go back on your word. So then Richardson Hitchins comes back with some shook type talk like he's scared now, and he's like, no, you must know something. I don't know why you talking like that with eyes. I'm like, what kind of chump punk maneuvers is this, bruv? You've just called him out on Twitter, and what do you expect him to be all nice to you? Asking him to tell you congratulations. And now when he's coming back with fighting talk, you're like, oh, you must know something. I don't know why you're talking like that, bruv. These guys these days in the boxing realm, Their personality is that of a punk, man. Their personality is not that of a fighter. It's that of a, I don't know, man. I can't even say. It's of an idiot. It's of a chief. In the UK, we call you a chief. Back in the 90s, we call you a chief to say that you're a fool. To say you're a punk. I don't even want to curse on there. This guy's a punk for me. George Kambosos come back and says, yeah, I do. Don't worry about the big man business. You do what you're told. Enjoy the moment. It's done then. See you soon and try enjoy the day. Rent free, baby. So Richardson Hitchins then says, I bet I make you quit. And then that's kind of it. I don't even want to, oh man, this guy. And then he goes on to the next day he's tweeting about George again. I'm like, why are you tweeting about George? Why are you shook off George? Why are you calling out George? This is ridiculous in my opinion from a new champion. Maybe you're just looking for at least one voluntary, because for me, you should be looking to fight other champions. It's not like anybody's unified. You got Teofimo Lopez, who we just spoke about. He may be moving up. You got Alberto Puello, who is a champion at the moment because Devin Haney is the WBC champion in recess, and Alberto Puello got elevated to the WBC champion in his last fight. And you got Jose Venezuela, who's the WBA champion. Why are you not trying to get a fight with one of these guys? Why aren't those the guys you're going online to call out? Why are you calling out guys that have lost and are in a lower weight class to you? That don't make sense to me. That shows me some shook one incentives. I remember before Liam Paro got this fight, you were the IBF mandatory and Subriel Matias was the champion. And you were talking all sorts of stuff as to why you shouldn't fight Subriel Matias. The IBF's got a weight clause. The IBF do the next day weigh in where you have to only weigh 10 pounds over what you just weighed. Some stuff like that you were talking about, all of these different things. I don't know if I'm going to stay at the weight. I might move up, blah, 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 blah. As soon as Liam Paro takes the belt off Subriel, now you're Johnny on the spot. Oh yeah, I want to fight him. And then you start making up all these noise going on like say, oh, I want to fight Liam Paro. I want to be a champion and all of this type of stuff through Liam Paro. But I just think that you were scared of Subriel and you weren't as scared of Liam Paro. You saw something in Liam Paro that said to yourself, well, he ain't the levels that can give me problems, especially where he's not a pressure fighter. And I think Subriel Matias, you was all shook of that guy. And now you're talking about you want to fight George Kambosos, who's another limited boxer. In my opinion, he's limited. He's not the upper echelons. He's not. When he beat Teofimo Lopez, there's so many different nuances and reasons as to why I believe he won that fight. But it's not because I think he's such a great boxer. He's definitely got top-end championship heart, championship tenacity. But I don't believe that he has, per se, championship skill. And you're calling him out. How can you as a champion be calling out a challenger that isn't even a champion at their weight class and they're actually a weight class lower than you and they're just coming off of a loss? This is punk behavior. This is I am a chief behavior. This is I am a punk behavior. Yeah, I'm a little scaredy cat behavior. Yeah. So well done for winning the belt and all of that. But all this stuff about calling out George Kambosos, bro. George Kambosos. And then another thing, you're talking about you want to see him in New York. Why do you want George Kambosos, a loser, to come to your ends to fight you, bro, for a belt that you've got? And he's not even in the top 15 or the top 20 of any of the junior welterweight governing bodies standings. He's just not there. What are you talking about? I don't get it. I don't respect it. And Eddie, you need to sort it out. Eddie, don't make me hear you trying to big up a fight between Richardson Hitchins and George Kambosos Jr. Don't do it. Don't pander to this little idiot about he wants to fight George Kambosos, yeah? Get him in there with a proper fighter, with a proper contender. Yeah, if it's not a Jack Catterall or Arnold Barboza or a Subriel Matias, right? You need to fight one of them guys, or you need to fight another champion. And you got Alberto Puello, who's not actually a champion because he never beat a champion, but he's got the belt. You could actually even go and fight him. Jose Venezuela, look to get a fight with one of these guys and try to become unified at least. Have some ambition. If Teofimo moves up, Arnold Barboza is the next one in line. So he may just get the belt by default. He's the number 3 in the IBF. So you could fight him and that could end up being for a unification. Bro, if you're calling out George Kambosos Jr., I don't get it. I don't respect it. Well done for winning the belt. Well done for beating Liam Paro. Okay? I'll give you that. But other than that, I don't like the energy that I'm getting from Richardson Hitchins. And with that being said, I'll see you guys in the next video.